With stars in pro wrestling testing positive for COVID and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report for April 28th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Since taking their romance on screen for AEW TV, Sammy Guevara and Conti have been on the receiving end of boos from fans. Talking about this on Superstar Crossover, AEW President Tony Khan said, "I think Sammy Guevara and Conti have created a very polarizing reaction. They were red hot as baby faces, both of them separately, I believe. I think Sammy was a great young babyface coming off some really big wins. He is a great TNT champion, and Conti is a great wrestler who has improved so much, and in fact, she was voted the most improved wrestler of the year award last year in the Observer Awards, voted by the fans. She also had so many exciting matches, coming so close to winning the championship on pay-per-view against Dr. Britt Baker, then great matches with Jade Cargill, and a huge emotional win in the street fight teaming with Anna Jay against Penelope Ford and the Bunny. So I would like to, say that they both have come so far individually, but then together they have really created this polarizing reaction. It's unlike anything I've seen when they're together and fans don't like them. I think it's interesting." While he was set to appear on Dynamite last night, AEW champion Hangman Page revealed ahead of the show that he tested positive for COVID. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted what was supposed to happen. Obviously, there was going to be a big angle with Punk and Adam Page that would lead to the announcement of the match, and instead they just announced the match as the main event for Double or Nothing. So whatever that was will probably take place next week if he is able to be there next week, which, as I said, he believes that he will be there. Also on Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer mentioned that WWE has been hit with a wave of COVID positive stars, saying, there's actually a few WWE people who were out due to COVID in the last couple of weeks, at least a couple. WWE apparently suspended testing late last year as these cases were more than likely symptomatic. While no names were given, Rhea Ripley did recently miss a match due to medical issues. After the Extreme Rules pay-per-view in September, Alexa Bliss would need sinus surgery. She later got married and made a return to WWE in February. Now she's showing off a photo taken after the procedure. She said, "I'm almost 8 months out from my rhinoplasty and valve reconstruction, all to be able to breathe for the first time in years. Recovery wasn't pretty, but totally worth it." With it announced that the Iinspiration, Cassie Lee, and Jessica McKay would be stepping away from pro wrestling, many have reacted to this as Bayley posted a photo with the duo writing tag team wrestling. Chelsea Green wrote, "One thing I've always admired about the Iinspiration is that they've never wavered on who they are. In the ring and in real life, they stay true to themselves. This decision just affirms that. Jessica McKay and Cassie Lee, I can't wait to see what's next. Something iconic, I'm sure." Matt Cardona would also post a picture and say, "Leave the memories alone." Shane Thorne would say, "Thanks for being such an inspiration." Referee Daniel Spencer wrote, "Thank you, Jessica and Cassie. It was a pleasure to get to work with both of you ladies. Wishing you all nothing but the best in the future." Jonah Rock and Maria Kanellis would react with heart emojis. With her recently becoming the interim Ring of Honor Women's Champion, Mercedes Martinez is set to face the champ Deonna Purrazzo on Dynamite next week. On the AEW Unrestricted podcast, Martinez revealed that when she signed with WWE, she had been hoping Tony Khan's company would be ready to go. "I held off as long as I could to try to figure out if I fit in AEW. I talked to Tony. We talked about it publicly. He just didn't have a TV deal at that time, and I'm hitting 20 years in my career. It was, what can I do for my family? What can I do to sustain my career and to keep longevity and to be stable, because you can only do the indies for so long. You can only work so many jobs, and at that time I was working 2 jobs full time, training plus traveling and doing whatever I can to support my family. AEW gave me the opportunity, but they didn't give me what I needed at the time or what I wanted at that time. They were still working out and ironing out the details. By the time WWE called, I really waited about 4 months before I signed that contract because I was waiting for AEW. I just didn't hear from them for about 4 months. So what do I do to bring stability and bring my career to another level? So it wasn't that I had to choose. It was just who was willing to give me something that I needed at that time. I think I would have held out another 2 months. Maybe I would have been with AEW at the beginning of 2020, but at the same time they weren't ready. With talk of the recent Warner Discovery merger potentially affecting AEW, Dave Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Radio that Tony Khan has plenty of options if the new management is no longer interested in his product. You know, it's a whole changing world. The fact that the ratings are very good puts them in a pretty good position. I think that they would be able to get something somewhere. I don't see AEW not being around, you know. I think it's here for a long time. The thing that would kill it, the number one thing that would kill it would be Tony Khan just wanting to move on in life and be mad at wrestling and not wanting to do wrestling anymore because he doesn't need to do it. It's not like his major livelihood or anything like that. It's very different from promoters of the past who used it as their main livelihood. I don't expect that to happen, but it is something that you have to consider. He probably could sell it and somebody else could. He definitely could sell it right now. Somebody else or whoever would buy it or probably keep it alive if he wants to sell it. He could try to go public with it if he wants to. There are a million different things that can happen in the future and everything like that. The value of the company, I've heard economic people a year ago give me a number that the company's worth $400 million, and it'd be way up from that right now because it's a lot more popular. Coming off of her victory over Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair spoke on WBIR, revealing that she still suffers from doubt at this stage in her career. I was really wrapping my mind around just starting from the bottom and working my way up. The training is very rigorous and the traveling is a grind, but I wouldn't wish to be doing anything other than what I'm doing now. It means everything to me. I feel like I'm kind of at the forefront of this new generation of women's wrestling that's coming through. I hold that responsibility greatly. It's just a feeling of something I can't describe, but I'm just taking it. I'm running with it, and I'm going to carry this momentum and continue to build my legacy. At SummerSlam 2016, the team of Enzo Amore and Big Cass would take on Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. Before the bout, Enzo would quote a Notorious B.I.G. song, and Big Cass sang a Frank Sinatra song. This led to them getting in trouble backstage. As Cass recalled the events on the Sessions podcast, "We went off script in SummerSlam in Brooklyn and sang I think a Frank Sinatra song, and you cannot sing or imitate things that are copyrighted. That was a stern talking to. It was Triple H. He was furious. Hunter. But we didn't know. We didn't know there was such a thing." If you go back and watch that SummerSlam, I think it was 2016, they had to cut it. That was something we weren't told in NXT. We did it and we thought, yeah, New York, we crushed it, man. Yeah, that was on the fly and everybody was with it. Then we got to the back and it was like, you, come here. I was like, oh, Speaking to the featured cut of the day, Becky Lynch spoke about getting to face her childhood hero Lita, saying that she is more than willing to face another WWE Hall of Famer. If Trish Stratus wants to go, I am ready to go, but I think she should know that I destroyed her bestie who I loved, who was my hero, who was my idol. I wasn't a Trish Stratus fan, so just imagine what I will do to her. While Becky Lynch has her hands full with the recently returned Asuka, this is a match that could be a possibility down the line. Back in August 2020, Sonya Deville was nearly the victim of kidnapping when a man broke into her home with duct tape and other supplies. Now, Deville is back on programming and stopped by the Pat McAfee show to speak about this experience. It's been a crazy ride and you never know something like that is going to happen until it happens. And you don't know how you're going to feel about something like that happening until it happens. I'll just say, the day of, I was like, oh, everything's fine. I'm going to go sleep in my house tonight. And then by the time nightfall came, I was like, couldn't even drive to the neighborhood. So it's crazy. While she takes time away from WWE, WWE after the incident, she came back to television in January of last year and is in the role of an authority figure. And definitely being on the other side of things, it feels good to be back in the mix and finally getting back in the ring since then. It's kind of like a big full circle moment for me, so I'm excited. Prior to AEW Dynamite last night, one of the company's production trucks would be involved in a car accident. AEW timekeeper Brooklyn Ramsey posted a picture of a Honda sedan stuck under the AEW truck, with the writing, "The driver is okay, but don't text and drive." A user on Twitter would post a video clip where you can hear fans chanting, "You deserve it," following the accident. With AEW and New Japan set to present their first joint pay-per-view event, Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrasso explained how Tony Khan found out about WWE's interest in working with NJPW. Before reaching that agreement, Danielson's deal with AEW, WWE officials sought out creative solutions to keep him in the company, which Danielson later confirmed. That led to Nick Khan's opening the lines of communication to New Japan, exploring ideas to collaborate between the two companies. Tony Khan found out about WWE's interest through his trusted contacts in New Japan, Sports Illustrated learned. New Japan officials stressed to Tony Khan that working with AEW was their priority, especially with the trust they had forged. This led to Tony Khan's promo directed at Nick Khan last May, when he stated there was only room for one Khan in wrestling, and not some con man from Connecticut. Per sources, top NJPW officials knew about the promo before it was released, and encouraged him to do it. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.